And so I was pointing out that most of these photos they show on the news of cities, you know, it looks like in the wintertime all this smoke's coming up. Most of that is not smoke. In fact, almost all of it isn't smoke. It's air conditioning and heating systems. And that was the point I was making. There's no coal plant around my office. And yes, the coal plants are so clean, it's incredible, even though they're burning dirty coal. Now, something Bill Clinton did in 1998 is he laid off limits in Utah and 2 other western states, all of the public lands that are the only place in North America that have totally clean coal. They have a type of coal that has no mercury in it, no sulfur in it. And they laid limits to that being mined. Okay? I mean, there are coal mines all over the country. And most of them are very, very clean. It's lignite. They strip it off. They replant grass and trees. It looks better than what it did before. I mean, humans can make the environment better. The rainforest has grown back. The real environmental problems, the globalists are doing nothing about, and they could care less. They want to tax and control all industry. They want to tax the 5.5 pounds of carbon dioxide humans exhale. That's in the UN treaties. To literally tax what you exhale, saying carbon dioxide is a toxic waste. Obama has now listed it in the U.S. as a toxic waste. That's what I'm discussing. You know, I talk a lot about what are real environmental problems. I'm not anti-science. I love science. I'm not a troglodyte. But thousands of different creations a year, many of them open-air planted, of cross species, goats that are part spider to create body armor in their milk. Don't believe me? Just, in fact, Google it right now, or smartpage.com, another good search engine. The term spider goats, usually CBS News is the top one, part spider, part goat. That creates in the DNA all sorts of weird mutations. They've got most of the produce you eat has insect genes, animal genes in it. Most of the salmon that's farm-raised, catfish that are farm-raised, tilapia that are farm-raised, have been genetically engineered with insect and other mammal and other fish genes. And I've had top genetic engineers on who talk about how deadly dangerous. I mean, Protegene, 10 years ago in Texas, open-air planted a pharmacological corn crop that had HIV virus in it, Associated Press. Open-air planted that, and then people found out about it, and they had to destroy the crops. Did you find spider goats? Just spider goats. I want to show people this. There it is, BBC. GM goat spins web-based future. BBC. I've told the story many times, but it was probably 8-9 years ago. I was in a Conan's Pizza picking up a pizza. No, my wife was pregnant. That was 8 years ago. She wanted a pizza. So I go get her the pizza, the deep dish Chicago pizza, and this guy pokes me in the shoulder. And I turn around and he goes, I used to like you, but I don't like you now. You're a liar. And I said, what am I lying about? I said, I do make mistakes occasionally, but please tell me. And he said, there's no such thing as spider goats. And I just interviewed one of the heads of one of the companies that has them out in a military base in upstate New York. I just interviewed the CEO about it. And I said, sir, he goes, you can't cross different animals. You're a liar. And I just said, fine, I'm a liar. No, I'm not a liar. I'm telling the truth. Okay? And he started saying, well, I went to UT and have a degree in biology. And I said, are you in biology now? And he said, no, I have another career field. And I said, when did you go to UT? And he said 1976. And I said, buddy, we're not in Kansas anymore. A lot has changed. He kept getting in my face, Look, that's the real environmental threat, are these cross-species chimeras, not carbon dioxide. And the globalists don't want real environmentalists worried about serious issues like overfishing. The Gulf of Mexico, when my dad would go down there, they'd go 3 miles out and catch mahi-mahi and tuna. Now you can't catch that stuff but 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 miles out. So there are a lot of things going on that are problems, but world government isn't going to fix that, especially when it's run by a bunch of crooks in global government that have been deceptive about what they've been setting up, and their whole system is authoritarian, dictatorial, and tyrannical and despotic and oppressive. Don't you understand? I mean, I have the White House Science Czar. I show this book every show. We literally have ordered over 100 books written by this guy and other people. The White House science czar saying they're poisoning your water supply to sterilize you. That's a big issue, a lot bigger than ClimateGate. And I'm going to keep hammering on this. I mean, these people mean business, folks. They are the progeny of the Nazis. They just pose as liberals. All right, let's go to Joe in Texas, then Chris, George, Steve, Chris, Billy Bob, Jim, and others. Let's try to move. Or am I getting new callers on top? Because I want to go to them in order. Who do I go to next here? Okay, yeah, okay, it is flipping the calls. These computerized systems confuse me. George in Texas, you're up next. Go ahead.
How you doing, Alex?
Good, go ahead.
You know, the thing is about this health care bill and this Copenhagen, this is just a frontal assault, eugenics frontal assault. And the only way
Tom Daschle wrote a book. He wrote the original bill saying if you're above 60, no eye surgery. They say you need to die. They are eugenicists. They're cutting Medicare and Medicaid and calling it liberal. Only a fake leftist could get away with this. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm against socialism, but if you're going to have it, give the money to the people. No money for us. All of it goes to the banks. I'm sorry. Go ahead, George.
Well, the only way I'm trying to fight back against this is I'm trying to get a hold of DV Kids so I get the archived documents of the fraudulent 17th Amendment and bring it to my legislature saying, you got 100 frauds sitting up in Capitol Hill.
I own the law that never was by Bill Benson and Red Beckman. They went to all original 44 states that were around in 1913 with the 17th Amendment to fully federalize the states and take the senators from the states before senators were elected by the legislature, controlled by the state. The same year they gave us the private Federal Reserve and gave us the IRS and the income tax, they gave us that. This is even bigger. In fact, the head of the UN is saying this is the biggest moment for world government in history, this Copenhagen Treaty. And yes, they went to the 44 states. They have a list of them. They talked to all the attorney generals. Most of the states didn't even ratify it. It never passed. The income tax never passed. None of it passed. George, I appreciate your call. Let's talk to Steve in Michigan. Steve, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. 2 quick comments. 70 miles north of me 2 nights ago had the highest amount of snowfall this early in the season, 14 inches. Thank God for global warming.
That's right. This is the 3rd coldest week on record in U.S. history.
And the second comment is I think these politicians, all of our representatives and senators, they need to know that their political jobs are on the line if they ratify this global warming treaty.
They need to know it's political suicide because here's the problem. Obama's approval rating has gone from 86% down to the low 40s, the lowest of any president 11 months into their first term. But it doesn't matter. He controls the House and the Senate and the presidency, the legislative and the executive. They're going to probably pass the Copenhagen Treaty this week. Then this year or next year, they're going to pass it in the Senate. They got to ratify it. They're probably going to pass the government grab of health care. They're probably going to pass the gun control bills they got introduced. Everything. I mean, we are in trouble. And then we've got all these Republicans like Schwarzenegger and Newt Gingrich running around supporting global government. This is high treason. Anything else, Steve in Michigan? All right, we're going to come back and go to Chris, Billy Bob, Jim, Leon in Australia, Chris in Kentucky, Joe in Texas, and a lot more. I'm going to get into the government hijacking of health care, more on the massive Copenhagen global government establishment. They've already built the world government. Now they're getting nations to sign over their sovereignty irrevocably to this criminal organization. This is the most important issue we faced in decades. This could be the end of America, ladies and gentlemen. You better get the word out to everybody you know instead of watching stupid Sunday night football. This is what matters to your family.